Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity. And we are going to continue with our concept from the jar exercise. I reach in and pull a concept from the jar and begin to speak on it impromptu without any notes, without any idea of what I will have to say, and then later without any revision or addition of this video. You will get as it comes out. So it's never very perfect. Now, I did start this exercise this morning, a few minutes ago, but my camera just shut off. So the concept I had pulled out was the last one in the jar, believe it or not, and it is purification. Don't know if you can see that, just to prove that's the one I have. Purification. And it was so ironic, I was saying in the video that I attempted to do prior to this one, is that I've been writing about purification lately and thinking about purification lately. So it's ironic and somewhat serendipitous that I pulled the purification concept from the jar when I did. So as I talk about purification, we really need to know in yogic terms, what does purification mean? Well, purification in any term means to purify and cleanse, does it not? And we need purification and cleansing prior to healing. So it is a part of the healing process, a very, very important part in the yogic world, because what purification does in yoga is it cleanses us of all those knots and tangles that the yogi may refer to as a samskara, from us, from our physical bodies, our energetic bodies, and our mental bodies, so that the pure Shakti from the Ananda body can flow through. And Shakti, of course, is life energy. It is that pure energy, light energy, life energy that is the essence of who we truly are. We don't know that because we are so blocked by our samskaras and our focus on this little me and its drama, and on the first three kashas, that probably the first kasha and the third kasha. Most of us don't understand the energetic body in this Western culture, but those are the things that we're focusing on. So we're not in touch with the idea even that there is something that cannot be seen, an invisible force, an invisible essence or presence beneath these things that we relate to form and physicality. That is who we are. So we need to go deeper when we talk about touching the Ananda body rather than further or higher on this plane here. So regardless of that, purification is a process of cleansing out these old samskaras, and samskaras are impressions, things that we've stuffed and stored inside us because they were too painful to deal with at the time. So it's the human tendency to want to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So if we have an experience, say when we're 6 years old, a very unpleasant experience where someone is yelling at us or abusing us or doing something, we in that 6-year-old mind do not have the capability to process that or accept it. So we tend to avert from it by pushing away, resisting, pretending it's not happening. And whenever we do any of these tendencies that we carry on right through our adult lives, what we're actually doing is stuffing down. Okay, what we resist persists. So when we try to push away pain, we actually end up stuffing it and storing it into the greatest defense mechanisms known to mankind, repression and suppression. So we stuff and store these past impressions, these experiences that were emotionally charged, and push them down inside. They do not go away, they stay there. And so what happens is, as we stuff a bunch of these things that were painful inside, we begin to process through life again, and we are constantly met with these triggers. We're constantly met with life challenges and experiences that trigger what we have stuffed and stored inside. So we assume it's the outside causing us our pain and our suffering, but in reality what it is the outside coming in to be experienced and blown through us, like all experiences are meant to do. But because of our resistance, we try to push it away or push it down. But this experience comes in, and if we have a samskara related to it, it activates that samskara. It's like it unlocks the trunk. So whatever we've stuffed and stored in Pandora's box starts to come up, and we experience all these unpleasant emotional experiences that we have spent our lifetimes trying to avoid. So we have this experience of pain coming at us from the external world, and we have this stuff coming up, and it's, ooh, a big turbulent energy, a big emotional crisis, a big challenge that we deal with. And what do? Well, we don't want this, so we push that away. And when we push that away, what are we doing? We're pushing it down and on top to suppression and repression. As this starts to come up, we don't like the experience of that. What is stuffed in pain will be experienced in pain when it comes up. So what do? We push that down with more suppression and repression. So these samskaras keep bothering it, keep building up, and life keeps bothering us with all these challenges and events that trigger us. What's really happening is that all energy, and everything is energy, emotions are energy, our thoughts are energy, the experience of life is energy, matter is made of energy, as the quantum physicist and the other physicists at CERN have shown and demonstrated through the Higgs field and the boson. It's all energy, and energy is meant to, just like the wind, blow past us, experience it while it's right in front of us, and then it goes. It's to blow through us and as well, so we need to leave both doors open so it can blow through in an open breeze. We're meant to experience it while it's inside us, but we're not meant to cling to it. And when we push away, we think, well, I'm not clinging to it, I'm pushing away. But when we push it away, resist it, we're actually holding on to it and clinging to it. So we're not meant to do that. When we do that, we form these samskaras. We're allowed all energy to come through. So when these samskaras, which are meant to be released, start to come out on their own, thanks to what life has given us, then we are to let them come up. If we want to purify, we want it all out of our system. It's like I always compare it to coughing up a fur ball. I know that's kind of gross, but when we think about a cat coughing up a fur ball, it's very painful. It looks very painful when they're doing it. It's a lot of retching and a lot of this and a lot of that before the fur ball comes up. But the fur ball has to be out of the way of their intestinal tract for them to be able to have everything flowing through clearly, right? Just like us in our shushunam, which is the biggest nadi in the body, the one that runs up the central spine, just say that all those samskaras are blocking that, so that flow of chit shakti, conscious bliss, can flow through us, and that conscious bliss is who we are in the innermost layers at our Ananda body. But when it's blocked by samskara, it can't flow, so it causes this whirlwind of emotional energy as it's trying to push up. And then here comes life this way, trying to open up the trunk door so it flips open so everything can come out. But we are resisting the cleansing process most of the time. We're resisting purification, and therefore we are clinging to our pain and suffering. So in yoga, the goal is to purify, to remove the samskaras, those impressions, and to allow life to just blow through. Okay, so if we have a lot of samskaras here, and life is meant to blow through like a wind or a breeze, it's going to come through, but it's going to hit this, right? We got to allow it to hit it, and we got to recognize that what it's doing is doing us a favor. It is helping us to purify. It is helping us to heal. It is opening up that door. Samskaras will most of the time just release on their own. If we stop stuffing and storing on top of them with more suppression and repression, which is just resistance to life as it is, then these samskaras will come up on their own. The channel will be purified, we will be cleansed, and we will be healed. So cleansing is also healing. And that is what we want on a psychological level, on a physical level, on an energetic level. And of course, there is no healing required from the lower two kashas, the wisdom kasha or the Ananda kasha. Our goal is just to be so clear that we fall into that, right? But again, the samskara layer is preventing us from going deeper and experiencing the what-isness of that higher level of consciousness. So we need to purify. Now, as I speak of purification, I have been writing, and this is really, it seems like it's been planned, but honestly, it has not been planned. It is just serendipity again. I've been writing a purification, and I have actually written something today on it, and the day before yesterday or yesterday on tapas. Now, tapas are a means by which we can burn off our karma or our samskara layers. And I'm just going to read you something from the Sutras of Patanjali. The direct meaning of tapas is to burn, as was discussed in the first sutra of this portion. By the physical tapas of fasting, we burn our excess fat away, along with the toxins our bodies have accumulated. By mental tapas, and that's basically what we're talking about, we burn all our old impressions, which are samskaras. By verbal tapas, observing silence, we control speech. When we burn, we feel some heat and pain. We undergo suffering. So tapas also means to accept suffering. If someone suffers, he or she is blessed, because by that suffering, some impurities are purged out. So in other words, we need to accept the pain that life provides us and see it as a challenge rather than as something to avoid or further stuff and repress and suppress. We need to look at life as offering us the opportunity to purify and to heal. Now, lately in my own personal life, and I'm sure you've experienced this many times in your own life, I've been overwhelmed by suffering, it seems. It's been dark and heavy because there's so much circumstances coming at me all at once. I feel overwhelmed sometimes by the crises I have to deal with. I feel overwhelmed by the suffering that's going on around me. I feel overwhelmed by the unkindness that others who I thought were friends have directed towards this human I call me. All perception, whatever. But still, I have been overwhelmed by this sense of suffering, and I have been resisting it. Even though I know that the only way out of pain is through pain, even though I know that these life events are here to help me purify, I still have resistance to them from time to time. I still get lost in outward clinging and looking for something to make me feel better. And I still sometimes get overwhelmed by the emotional aspect of this so-called suffering, being at this part of my evolutionary journey is all about. I'm at the part of my journey, I think it's almost like I signed up for a course that says accelerated growth and learning, and for some reason I thought I was ready to join up for that course, so I registered and signed up, and I'm sitting in this classroom and I'm saying, oh my God, I don't understand a thing. This is too hard. Get me out of this. But once here, you can't go back, right? Once we reach a certain level of our awakening, we don't go backwards. It's all a forward motion. So I am here now learning, and this learning is very, very tough. It's like life is, designing the curriculum, and it's throwing one thing this way, one thing that way, another thing here, crisis here, financial here, health here, suffering loved one over here, it's just amazing what it throws at you at one time. And it's hard not to see it as a punishment. It's hard not to see it as a unfair circumstances or a curse or karma getting back at me for something. When in reality, it is a blessing. Life is just there to help me learn. I joined up with this course. It was me that registered and, found my way to the seat, and I'm sitting here trying to learn. It was my choice. And so life is obliging by giving me one circumstance after another and another and another so that I learn. One tapa after another. I am burning away not only karma, but these samskaras and this idea and concepts of pain and suffering that I've stuffed and stored my entire life. I am purifying. I am healing. And it is an amazing experience. And I know that on, some deep level of me, but I still get lost in wanting things to be different on the outside. I think that's pretty normal for a human to want that. I'm just looking for a break, as I say sometimes, and even a tiny bit of hope, even though I know the hope is not likely to, become something, or the outcome or fruition of it may not be likely. Even if it's just a tiny hope, it lifts me up so I feel better. Because this is heavy. These lessons are heavy, and they land on our shoulders pretty heavy. And I think there's a part of our journeys, through our evolving journey, where the deeper and deeper we go, the more heavy it feels. And I think I'm at that part of the journey where it is a little bit challenging, and I'm experiencing all these tapas. But I'm learning to look at them as a blessing. Another thing I read about and wrote about today was the idea that when people are unkind to us, when they've done something, say they abused us, they yelled at us, they hit us, they did some cruel and unkind act, regardless of why they did it, whether they meant to or not meant to or whatever. When they do that, we have this sense of being hurt by what someone else does. Most of the times we resist that. We resist that, and we experience all these kinds of emotions: anger and hurt and betrayal and injustice and unfairness. And, it's an overwhelming experience as a human being to have that from another human being. And I've had the circumstances in my life, and I might have briefly mentioned, I'm not going to get into detail, I'm not going to pinpoint my finger at anybody. This is just a collective thing that most of us experience. I just have a specific situation that I can relate it to in my mind, where old friends have done something that truly, truly hurt me and my family. And it was done in a way, I know from what I see and observe, it was done not only because they were not conscious enough and aware of what they were doing to other human beings. It was done so that they, in their own sense of whatever, could feel righteous, could feel higher up, feel like they were rescuers and saviors in a situation. And in order to play that part, they had to vilify people. So they vilified my loved one and therefore the rest of us. And they tried to take something that was very, very precious to us away, thinking that they had a right to, thinking that they were doing the right thing, without considering what they were doing to us. And these were friends I trusted, so it was like a blow to my psyche in many ways. It was very, very hurtful and painful. And I have been living with that pain for 6 months now. And at the same time, I realized, like I said, they were old friends. This traces back decades. And I'm seeing clearly this type of behavior and this type of need from one of these individuals to be righteous and to be perceived in a certain way, and how that has impacted me not only then, but now. And so I have all these layers of stuffed and stored samskara inside me, and it was just, it's always boiling. If I don't think about them and I'm not around them, there is no problem. But yesterday was a situation where I had to see them again, and I thought I was above this. I was so sure I'd walk in there with my head high and not be touched by this, and just, so what, kind of thing. But I was an emotional mess. It all hit me as soon as I walked through the door. I could feel the tears brimming up behind my eyes. I could feel the heaviness in my chest. I just wanted to curl up. I couldn't look at them. My stomach was all turned up. I couldn't sit and concentrate on the lovely little thing that was going on and the reason why I was there. I was just so aware of their presence, so aware of those triggers that they've done. And I didn't recognize then, as I do now, how grateful I should be to them. I should be grateful because they're helping me to purify. They're helping me to get all this junk I stuffed and stored for so many years and for so many months in this other form up and out of me. No more suppression, repression. I allowed it out. So every tear I shed since last night was a release of some of these samskaras that have been stuffed and stored. They're helping me to purify. Their behaviors was a tapas that helped to burn away things that needed to be burned away. And I am truly so grateful. Not that they intended to be kind, and regardless if they did or not, that's theirs. And whether they're realizing now the error of their ways and are seeing clearly, That's not up to me. That's there. Wherever they're at in their level of consciousness. And I will learn to forgive them. I will. I honestly will. And that is my goal, because I do not want to carry any of these unwholesome emotions around in me, because that's just more stuff on top. I just want to be clear and free of everything. So forgiving is a big part of this process as well. But not only do I want to forgive them, I want to be able to walk up to them and do this. And I found this in the same book, same page. Don't think that if someone causes us pain, they hate us, but rather that they are helping us to purify ourselves. If we can think like this, we are real yogis. If anybody hurts our feelings, we should just smile at them. Thank you. I want more and more. I know you want me to become pure soon. Bring your friends also to inflict pain. So bring it on, I guess. do your best. Maybe someday, but at the same time, I want to say that with compassion, because I want them to learn too and grow from this. It was a wonderful opportunity for all of us to learn and grow. And I do want that, and I want to be able to forgive and let go, and I want to be able to see, why they did it, they had their own, wherever they were at, and that's what led to this, and to be more open-minded and more compassionate. And I do not want to, get into self-righteousness and judgment either. So, yeah, I do want to forgive, but I want to thank them for helping me to purify, because I do feel right after I've said this, and after I pulled that purification from the jar, it's all meant to be. It's very, very serendipitous. That's where I'm at. I'm on the purification mode right now in my awakening process. And though it is painful, I have to say, bring it on. Help me to purify. Help me to release samskaras. Help me to clear that channel for Chit Shakti. Help me to be the most peaceful, loving, joyful person I can be. Thank you. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.